Hello, everybody, and welcome to Uski and Herbie show. I'm Chris Heidel. It's April 14th, 2021. What's going to be the schedule here coming up? Hold on here, we forgot to put the schedule. Joining us this morning, another early edition of the morning show at 10 o'clock. It's 10:04 Eastern Time here. Let me, one second here. All right, we're ready to go here. Here is the schedule. 10:05 in a minute or so. We have Nick Patus joining us from Old Dominion Baseball. Will be joining us at 10:15. Brandon Morrison from Masson Orioles. We'll talk Orioles baseball with him. At 10:30, Dave Ryan will be joining us. And at 10:45, Trey Wilson from the Richmond Flying Squirrels broadcaster will be joining us as well. So let's bring in Nick, who is peacefully waiting to come on. Nick, thanks for joining us this morning. Tough break today, no game today, but you guys played really well over the weekend down in against Florida Atlantic, and you pitched really well. So talk about your pitching outing.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was our whole staff threw really well this weekend. We came out all four games and got a real good start out of our starters, and bullpen guys came in after and picked us up. And it's been a pretty good year as a starting pitcher with the way we've been hitting the baseball too. Hold them. Like I said, all our starters have been throwing pretty well. We hold them to a few runs. We've had a lot of games where we'll break out in the sixth, seventh inning and put up 5 or 6 spot, and then have some bullpen guys come in, shut them down, close the game out. So things have been going pretty well in that respect so far.
You're from Maryland. Maryland's Old Dominion. Because I saw some pictures of you from Maryland, University of Maryland. Did you transfer after your? When did you transfer to Old Dominion?
I went to Maryland in the 2016-17 year. That was my freshman year. I ended up redshirting there, and so I transferred. I went to Frederick Community College for a year, and then came to Old Dominion in, what was that, the 2019 year?
Wow. So just talk about your journey from going from Maryland to Frederick Community College to Old Dominion. Now you're a weekend starter, pretty much. So you're the guy on the weekend on Saturday or Sunday. So that must be pretty good for your coach to trust you for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean it definitely means a lot. It's been a bit of a long journey. Obviously no one expects to end up going to 3 different schools. In their college career, but I went to Maryland. Things just ended up not working out, and honestly, ended up going and transferring to JUCO was great for me, and I think I learned a lot. It was kind of a tough experience. Going to the school you choose out of high school, and things not working out. But being able to go to JUCO felt like kind of helped me get over it and play with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder and learn a lot about myself and just kind of how to handle things on my own a little bit better and be a little bit more self-sufficient and work through some of those hard times. And I think in the end it ended up being really good for me. And now, in year 5, I feel like I've gotten a lot of different experiences, and I think it really helps me out on the field.
That's cool. That's great. I was looking at your stats. In 2020, last year, everybody had a bad year because the season ended, so early because of COVID-19. Your ERA was 5.12. Right now, after 8 starts, it's at 2.21. What are you doing differently to get that ERA down? Are you pitching differently this year? Are you attacking hitters? Are you throwing your best pitch when you need it? Just talk about your way of pitching this year than last year.
Sure. I mean, I think I think my stuff has gotten a little bit better this year from last year. But I think one of the bigger things has been just kind of a little bit of the mental game, and it was really tough getting our season cut off last year, and you know, it gave us some time to work on some stuff and get better, but also I think gave a lot of us kind of a new appreciation for just being out there and playing and not taking it for granted. And I think part of that is I'm having a lot more fun this year, and I think that's part of why our team as a whole is playing really well right now. Is we're all pretty loose and just having a good time. And I think even though obviously no one wanted to stop playing last year, there's definitely been some good things that we've been able to take away from that.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are nationally ranked now. You're 22nd in the country. How cool is that to be waking up on Monday morning and seeing the top 25, and there you are, like probably right before Florida State and everybody else.
It's really cool. It's awesome to get recognized like that. Obviously, I feel like we've earned it. I think we're legit. I think we're going to stick around. But at the same time, all of that, those kind of off the field accolades are really cool and everything. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't mean anything. We got to just keep coming out and keep winning games.
Yeah, like this weekend you have I think you have a 4-game home game against Rice. Yeah, Rice University.
Yep.
That talk about Conference USA. Is it a different division than let's say when you were with Maryland? Maryland was in the Big Ten at the time. Is it a little more? Is it tougher than the Big Ten, or you guys have? Is it better hitters in Conference USA, or basically the same? College baseball is the same.
It's kind of hard for me to compare the two, especially like I said, I redshirted when I was at
Right.
Maryland, so I didn't even play, so I never even faced a hitter in the Big Ten. But
Yeah.
I think we play in a great conference, and this year especially seems like we've got a few teams that are really good. It's looking like we got a chance to um, have 3 or 4 teams playing a regional, and I think we're pretty underrated as a conference.
Wow, that's cool. Well, Nick, I know today's game got postponed because I know you guys would hop on the bus soon and head on down to do that long truck through the Commonwealth of Virginia over to Charlottesville. But with all the rain in this area, I guess that game got canceled. So, what are you doing What are you doing today for yourself? Are you watching baseball? Are you doing schoolwork, or are you just chilling, relaxing?
Um,
What's Nick do on a day off?
a little bit of everything. I mean, we'll still have practice today. So I'm throwing a bullpen today, so we'll do that, and we'll have lift. I think a bunch of the pitchers have lift today, so pretty normal day. Come home, got a group project I'm working on, so gotta kind of chip away at that. But yeah, go
That's good.
practice, lift, come home, and hang out for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I'll let you go. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming on this morning, and good luck. You're a kid from Gaithersburg, Maryland, and hopefully you do successfully well, and hopefully we'll talk to you. Maybe you guys get to the tournament, and we'll get you back on.
That'll be great. Thanks for having
All
me.
right, all right, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir.
See you.
Bye.
All right, that's Nick Pentos, who is the pitcher from Old Dominion. He is from Gaithersburg, Maryland. I'm Chris Ido, one half of Herbie and Uski and Herbie. Uski has decided to take a vacation day on the beach of Florida, so we'll find out where he is next week or whenever he gets back here. My brother was supposed to be joining us, but I guess these 10 o'clock starts a little hard for him, so we'll try to get him on later later this show. We're on till around noon today. We have some great people coming on. Hopefully, you are a big if you like our schedule here, let's take a look at our schedule later in the show. That was really nice to have Nick on this morning. Did a fantastic job. Um, Coming up at 11 o'clock, Coach Dot Richardson from the Liberty University softball team. They were supposed to play today against Virginia Tech in ACC Atlantic Sun battle, but that got postponed because of rain. So that's what's going on. And then Amy Jennings, who covers the Nationals for Masson, and also she does a lot of stuff for Fox 45 here in Baltimore. She'll be joining us. And then at 11:30, Derek May from the Frederick Keys, the new management of the Keys, who are going to be part of the independent baseball league for Major League Baseball this year, the Major League Draft League, will be joining us at 11:30. And then Anthony Nyer, who became only the fourth bowler on the Professional Bowler Store. Let's see, we'll play this clip here. This is the clip from Sunday's U.S. Open. Became the fourth bowler to make the 7-10 split on national TV. So see right there? Yeah. We will talk to the Ginger Assassin later in the program and talk about him making the 7-10 split on national TV because he's the fourth person to do it and the third lefty to do it on the Professional Bowlers Tour. So that's really interesting. It's 10:14 here on the program. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, hopefully at 10:15, we'll have Brandon Morrison, who covers the Orioles Nationals for Masson. We'll talk Orioles baseball with him. See what's new. The Orioles won last night in the second game of the 7-game doubleheader against the Seattle Mariners. So he'll join us at 10:15, and then our good friend Dave Ryan will be joining us at 10:30. We'll talk about that 7-10 split because he did not cover that, but that's an interesting thing to talk about because he's been on the Professional Bowlers Tour this year, covering for our good friend Rob Stone. Well, here is Brendan Morrison will be joining us right now. Hi, Brendan. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
A good win for the Orioles last night, and I want to say extra innings or 7 innings. Normally to me the 7-inning game is like high school baseball, but what was it like getting the Orioles that first win at home after a tough weekend against the Red Sox and that first game against the Mariners?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, the home series against the Red Sox there, especially after sweeping them on opening weekend, was a little bit of a tough pill to swallow, but really nice to get that first home win out of the way.
Yeah. Well, first game, John Means pitched game 1 yesterday, and looked like I was listening to the first inning, and he threw that pitch to Prince or whatever his name from Seattle, and I think it hasn't landed yet. What did he look like in his start against Seattle? Because when he pitched against the Red Sox, he looked like he was Vita Blue or Mike Cuellar.
Well, he started off a little rocky. Those first few innings was not the John Means that we had grown accustomed to, at least over his first 2 starts of the season. But when Means is really effective, he's using that changeup slider combination really, really well. His fastball doesn't have a ton of velocity, but he's able to put some pretty good movement on it. But when he's using that changeup and slider effectively, that's how he's able to get guys out. And I think last night, especially when he was getting into the later innings of the game, he was working that changeup and slider a little bit better, and he was able to be much more effective as the game went on.
Yeah. And this with the Orioles, we're going to show some clips. This is from yesterday. The final game. The box play by the pitcher for the Mariners. I've seen this before plenty of times. They just forget. It's hard to be a pitcher. My brother was a pitcher, and you got to jump off that mound like a cat. And to get that plate, that ball real quick. But I guess that was the turning point because that's how the Orioles won the game with that error.
Yeah, and especially with a speedy Ryan McKenna. I mean, you've got to get off that mound pretty quickly. That's not Trey Mancini or Ryan Mountcastle running down there. McKenna has always been known for his speed, especially coming up through the minors. So that's a really tough play. But yeah, it was the turning point for the Orioles there and able to build some momentum into the later innings.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this coming weekend. The Orioles hit after playing Seattle today, and I think tomorrow they hit the road and go down to that beautiful stadium in Texas, where Texas Rangers built this new dome and Globe Light Park. They haven't played there yet. I saw that thing being built a couple of years ago. I was down there for the Cotton Bowl. That thing looked huge when they were building. I think in Texas they like to build things big in Texas, but what does the Orioles have to do with that 4U series against the Texas Rangers, who last Friday got no hit by the Padres?
Yeah, I mean, the Rangers are 4-7. I think this is a pretty good opportunity for the Orioles to pick up some games here. I know the Orioles, roster-wise, may not have the most talent in their roster construction, but I think they are pretty clearly a better team than the Rangers, and I think they can pick up some wins here. I think it's really going to come down to the starting pitching. I'm not sure exactly who the Orioles are going to have going against the Rangers. I would assume we're going to see Bruce Zimmerman, Matt Harvey, and then I'm really not sure what Brandon Hyde has in store in terms of what he's going to do with that number 5 spot in the rotation. Not sure if he's going to stick with Jorge Lopez or not. We'll have to see.
Yeah, so this is the last time they played each other was 2019 because everybody last year played in their own division area, so you didn't have to travel, so far, with the COVID-19. So this is back in 2019. Thanks for the folks at Masson to give us an opportunity to get that off of YouTube. But yeah, I think this year is going to be fun because all these teams who they haven't played in 2 years, they haven't seen in 2 years. Like with Seattle, you haven't seen them since 2019, and it's like they're like, oh, this is a new team. We haven't seen them. Like it's not like every year you see them. And now this year it's going to be great because you're going to be like, oh, we haven't played them in 2 years. They might be different.
Yeah, and the Rangers especially, I mean, they've gone through a lot of roster rehaul over the last 2 years, so this is a completely different team than the Orioles saw in 2019 and probably not as talented of a team as they saw in 2019.
Yeah. So you work for Masson. You do both Orioles and Nationals, or do you just do strictly Orioles?
Yeah, I do mostly Orioles. Paul Mancano and I have the Masson Orioles podcast that we're actually going to be recording in about an hour, going live with. But I also do some Nationals. We bounce back and forth a little bit, but Paul and I are primarily on the Orioles side of things. Yeah,
that's cool. What are you guys covering today on the podcast? Because and where can people find it? Because I know there's a lot of podcasts for Orioles stuff. Like I know. Jeff Arnold and the folks at 105.7 put one out. I think that's they were working on it yesterday. What are you guys covering today?
Yeah, so today we're just kind of talking about the last few games since that Red Sox series. Really, we're going to be talking a lot about Cedric Mullins and how good he has been. Going to be talking about the expectations for Ryan Mountcastle and Dean Kramer. If those expectations going into the season were set a little bit too high. Going to be talking about Freddie Galvis. He's been in a bit of a slump to start the season, and we're going to be talking about how much we should expect from him at the shortstop position. If the Orioles should try out guys like Richie Martin that are coming up. We're going to be talking about the starting rotation. If Adam Plutko might be a fix maybe in that number 5 starting rotation spot, and a bunch of stuff like that. You can find it on Facebook and YouTube. We're the Masson All Access Podcast, and we'll be live at I think about 11 today. So if you need some more Orioles content, you'll be able to tune in pretty soon. So
nice. So so let me let you go so you get yourself right. When you guys start taping, because I don't want to be that guy holding you up.
Oh no, you're good. I think we're gonna get started right around 11. So
okay, we got time then.
Yeah.
I didn't know because a lot of these people podcast and they don't tell me. Like with me, we normally do our show in the evening, but now with the springtime coming around, all these coaches are more available during the mornings because baseball coaches, softball coaches, and all that stuff is morning people. They're not evening people because everybody wants to go home and see their families and have dinner and relax. And I agree. I work full time every day, so it's like I want to put my feet up and watch television too.
Yeah, absolutely, makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you said you covered the Nationals a little bit. Last night, for the Nationals, I got Amy Jennings coming on. We'll talk more with her later, you guys. But Nationals just got destroyed by the Cardinals last night. I guess the Cardinals are finally waking up now with their bats because I saw Pat Goldsmith hit one that hit down the line and hit off the foul pole.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough matchup for the Nationals. I mean, the Cardinals, especially with the addition of Nolan Arenado, their lineup has looked really, really good, and they look like a pretty complete all-around team. And the Nationals have been struggling a little bit out of the gate. I mean, the bats haven't really been there, and last night, obviously, Steven Strasburg did not look like Steven Strasburg. So the Nationals are going to rely pretty heavily on that pitching rotation, on the big 3 they've got with Strasburg, Scherzer, and Corbin. And when those 3 aren't pitching to what we're used to, I mean, the Nationals team is going to struggle a little bit because in that lineup they've got Trey Turner and Juan Soto, and there aren't a whole lot of proven bats behind them. So they've really got to rely pretty heavily on that pitching, and when it's not going well, it's probably not going to be a good day for the Nats.
Exactly. Well, the Nationals, like the Orioles, they return home They play a team like the Diamondbacks. They haven't seen since 2019. Let's bring up a clip I found. This is from Father's Day a couple years ago. So there's probably a lot more people, but they're going to bring. I talked to Bob Carpenter yesterday morning. They're going to get now it's up to 15% capacity instead of 10% capacity. So I guess more people are allowed to be in the ballpark on down there at Nationals Park. That's not bad.
No, not at all. And I think the players feed off of that a lot. You know, it's a big difference between playing for even 10% capacity versus just having more fans there. But yeah, I think the Diamondback series will again be an opportunity for the Nats to kind of get things going a little bit. I mean, to start the season, you've got series against the Braves, Dodgers, and Cardinals. That's a really tough way to start. And the Diamondbacks aren't, a horrible team, but right now they're sitting at 4-8, and I think the Nationals should be able to pick up some wins in that series.
Yeah, like Bob Carpenter said, next week it's a little bit dicey. I guess you got to play the Mets, and you got to have, you have these 6 games you got, make up with the Mets because of the COVID-19 situation. That's going to be a very interesting year, and hopefully this is the end of COVID-19 for these teams because I haven't heard anything except for if there's a player, they just put them on the disabled list as like an injury. And then I guess, but if you have 6 or 7 more, then you have to cancel. I think that's what they're doing now.
Yeah, and it's tough too because, especially with a team like the Nationals, you had to call up so many guys that you weren't originally planning on having on the roster to start the year. So especially when you've got a tough stretch against good teams, to start out the season, combine that with having guys on the roster that you didn't plan on having on the roster. It's a really tough thing to overcome, and it makes sense that the Nationals are kind of skidding a little bit out of the gate, but it's a really tough stretch. I mean, you said Bob talked about it as well. You've got a 4-game series against the Diamondbacks, and then you go right back to the Cardinals, Mets, and Blue Jays. So the Nationals are really going to have to, kind of work through this gauntlet of really good teams if they, are hoping to stay competitive in the NL East.
Exactly. Well, Brendan, thank you so much for coming on this morning, and enjoy your podcast. And we'll try to get you on a little bit more during the April and May and check up with you and all that stuff. And good luck with it.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
See you. All right, folks. That's Brandon Morrison, who basically he does stuff in Mass and Orioles and also a little bit Nationals. Waiting for my broadcast partner, my brother. I guess he's having a hard time with the connection here. Maybe his house is not good for cell phone reception. I just want to let you know that. So anyway, we will be waiting for. So here's that's where now the Nets are 2-6 on the season, and then they play 2 more games against St. Louis on the road, and then home for 4-game series against Arizona. So let me see what's going on here. So it's 10:26 here on the program. We're waiting for Dave Ryan to join us, our good friend. Yeah. Let's see. So we'll see what she needs here. Okay. Let me send it to him again. Hold on. So we are live here, waiting for my brother to join us. So let's give you the schedule coming up here. Thanks for joining us. Where's the schedule? I had the schedule here. Okay, here we go. Thanks for joining us here on the program. 10:28 here in the morning. Right now, here's the schedule. If you just logged into us. So Dave Ryan will be joining us at 10:30 And then at 10:45, Trey Wilson from the Richmond Flying Squirrels, the broadcaster, will be joining us at 10:45. And then if you're a big softball fan, Liberty University softball coach Dot Richardson will be joining us at 11. And then Amy Jennings from Maston, who covers the Nationals and does stuff for WB Channel 45 here in Baltimore at 11:15. And then at 11:30, Derek May, from former Major Leaguer Derek May, who got hired as the manager of the Frederick Keys, who are now part of the draft league for baseball, will be joining us at 11:45. 11:30, and then 11:45, Anthony Nair, the son of his dad used to bowl on the Professional Bowlers Tour. He became the first bowler to make the 7-10 split. So we're gonna wait for Dave Ryan. I'll be right back here. Now let me pull up the schedule and wait a minute. Dave is joining us here. Second. Let me get this off here. Oh. Let me get this down here. Now let me bring in Dave, who's been waiting so patiently. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
You look like me, just waking up. Nothing much. You look like me when I just got up this morning.
I just dropped off two kids at daycare. We've got 3 kids at school, one of whom's homesick. So I wish it had just been recently. We've been up for hours around here. Team Ryan is it's a busy household, say the least. How's it going?
Doing great. Thanks for coming on this morning. I was waiting for my broadcast partner. My brother's helping me out this morning. He's having technical issues with the link. I don't know what for.
Yeah.
I showed it. Yeah. He's not technology savvy sometimes.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. But talk about your last time we talked a lot about a lot of things. I think we talked about basketball and what did you think about the NCAA tournament with Gonzaga losing to Baylor in that final game?
It was a great tournament. I was disappointed how poorly Gonzaga played in the championship game, frankly. Baylor went out to that 11-1 lead by playing man basketball. They're grown men on that team, especially their guards, and they just smacked Gonzaga in the mouth, and it was over. It was one punch to the chin and over, to make it a boxing analogy. I thought Jalen Suggs with his second foul early in the game was fatal for Gonzaga, and they never woke up off the mat, Chris. I mean, that game was over fast. And you always hope that the championship game is going to be exciting. It's like the Super Bowl, right? I mean, you want those games to be riveting and right down to the last shot. And, hey, we had that in the semifinal with UCLA. What a finish that was. What a game that was for Gonzaga and UCLA. It was fitting that the top 2 teams in the country play in the championship game the whole year. They were 1-2. I mean, the whole year. So to see that play out was pretty amazing. And my wife, who's not a basketball fan, picked Baylor. She picked 3 of the 4 teams in the Final Four. And my bracket was busted, of course, in the first weekend. But I'm the alleged expert.
I know.
but great to see Baylor win. They deserved it. They probably have 3 pros on that starting 5, as does Gonzaga. Yeah. Great tournament, fun to watch. I thought overall it was awesome, and in the COVID era to get the whole thing in with just the one game being canceled is pretty exceptional.
Yeah, and it did a fantastic job of setting everybody there early, make sure they're all tested. They were in that bubble. Nobody left anywhere. They told I asked some of the players, what have you been doing? They're like, I've been playing Xbox. I've been going to see my buddy next door. That's all we're allowed to do. I'm like, okay.
That's about it. That's life in the COVID era, where you have to be in that room the whole time, and it was extraordinary that I think they pulled it off. I was so pleased to see them get all the way through it from start to finish.
I think they should do it every year, because I think you get a different place for people that if you get a Sweet 16 in one area and you have the Final Four in one area, I think you get more people to come to those areas. Because you'd be like these schools. And these fan base would be like, oh, we're going to Florida for the Sweet 16 and maybe the Final Four. Yeah, let's go. And you get more people. And I asked that for the women's side because I talked to the Louisville head coach, Jeff Moltz, and I said, "What did you think about the bubble?" And he goes, "I think it's great that they did it. They had no problems with what they did, but he said they got to they want to be just like the men, and I think they should. I think everybody should be equal. My brother and I brought this up, a couple of weeks ago. We all should be the same thing. Why is one league different than the other? Yeah, come on. Yeah, give it a break."
Yeah. I'm with you. Everything should be, and I do like the bubble idea a lot. I think I don't, the NCAA is not probably worried about finances, but it does make a lot of sense for everybody to do it that way. So
exactly,
I think it's smart, and I'd be surprised at this point if they don't go back to it next year.
Yeah. Hey, you want to go to someplace in Illinois? Sure, I'll go for a first round matchup against Duke. Sure, I'll go.
Well, the Indy area made sense because you have so many campuses. You had Butler, IUPUI, IU, Purdue. Obviously, the big arenas in Indy. So, and it's the headquarters of the NCAA. So the whole thing was, I thought, a very logical layout. Considering how challenging this year has been. You don't want to send a regional to Boise, a regional to San Diego, a regional to Tampa. It's that would be too hard to try to manage.
Right. Exactly.
So I thought that was smart. I mean, I really did. And to get through the entire thing, and it's too bad that VCU was affected. VCU is a program we cover at CBS Sportsnet. Did a lot of their games in the A10. They're really good. Really good. And they might have won a couple games. We'll never know, but that was the only victim. That's I'm still amazed by the fact they got through it.
I know. I was amazed too. I was waiting for something to go. After that VCU getting tested for a positive test, I was waiting for some other train wreck going down, and then you bring in and they were said if you had to let them know by the Tuesday of the tournament if your team can't make it, they had teams waiting to take their spot. So it would have been funny to see Oregon playing Louisville if Louisville was asked a couple days ahead of time, right? Because that's what the ACC had lined up for. And I heard Duke was like, "Well, we're going to cancel the rest of the season. We're not going to do postseason." But the guy goes, "Wait a minute, we might join it if they need it." That would have been funny if you're a team okay, we just lost, a game against. We'll say Oregon or something Oregon, be like, "Oh God, I got to play Duke." Yeah, I'm like, "Geez."
Yeah, it had so many interesting scenarios set up there for those alternate teams if they were needed. I'm glad they weren't. That would have been too challenging, I think, to try to bring in someone who didn't qualify to the field of 68 initially, to bring them in late. Then so many other programs who didn't get the call as the alternate team would be complaining. It would have been really unfair.
Yeah. Well, let's bring my broadcast partner, my brother Will, who's been helping me
Will.
out. Will, Ryan.
How's it going?
The link finally worked.
Yeah, the link sometimes doesn't like it, like going on early in the morning. But what can you do? But we were talking about Will about the NCAA tournament, about the bubble and Gonzaga. What do you think about that whole thing this year?
I think it ended up turning out to be a great tournament. I mean, granted, I had Gonzaga winning the whole thing, and I was completely shell-shocked, last Monday night after the first 2 minutes of the game. But no, I thought overall it was just a great tournament with some great upsets, Oral Roberts and, stuff like that. And I enjoyed it. Duke did not deserve to get in. I caught the tail end of that. They had no business being in there. Just because they're Duke and they're blue blood doesn't mean that they deserve to just get a spot in the field. Right. So no, I thought it worked out. Everything kind of panned out. Everything worked well.
Exactly. Dave, I was doing some research last night. You wrote an article about Lehigh men's lacrosse from U.S. Lacrosse Magazine. How did that come about? I was like, huh. And I was reading it. It was not bad. It was like a timetable.
I actually started writing for my high school newspaper about 150 years ago when I went to high school in New Paltz, New York, which is upstate in Ulster County. And my friend Dave Martin said, "Hey, I've been a stringer for this paper called the Huguenot Herald, and I think it paid $25 an article. And for a high school kid, that was pretty good money, especially 150 years ago when I was in high school. And it was kind of funny because I covered games I was playing in. So I played football, basketball, and tennis in high school. And I would actually quote myself because I could do that, and my friends because I was writing the columns. And there were some interesting moments with that, to say the least. But it was sort of the start of my print journalism career. And then at Syracuse, I just did broadcast with Mike Tirico and Doug Sherman and Charlie Palillo and Todd Callis and Ian Eagle and all those now superstars. And then when I got out of college, and I did some stuff, freelance stuff for a Buffalo Bills magazine called Shout. So I had a little bit of print journalism background. And then in about 2015, 2016, I did some inside lacrosse content. I had 2 stints where I was writing and doing video for them. So I appreciate you noticing that, Chris. It was just the first effort. It was an interesting story angle with Lehigh, the head coach Kevin Cassis, whose brother Todd is a doctor, internal medicine specialist in New York. So he had incredible background and insider knowledge on COVID when it first started, and how he helped Kevin run that program safely, and trying to navigate COVID as a head coach of any Division I or any college collegiate athletic program is just a massive challenge for these guys. And they've come through it and had a great season. It was just sort of an interesting feature angle that came together. And I forgot how long it takes to write when you're doing articles and interviewing. It takes a long time to put your thoughts together. Right. And what you read and the final version were not the same. Of course, that's edited. So there are quite a few sections that didn't make it. But it was a pleasure to do it again, and I forgot how much I enjoyed it. Really did.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Really
cool. You got anything for Dave?
They said that you were up at Syracuse. So I read an article the other day that the Buffalo Bills, it was on Bleacher Report, Buffalo Bills fans are the biggest drinkers in the NFL. Yes, no?
That's a good one. I would have no idea how to answer that question. I will say this, that when the Bills were in their 4 Super Bowl run, remember they made 4 in a row.
Kelly.
Yeah.
No, I mean, a long time, Jim Kelly and Andre Reed and Thurman Thomas. So I was doing local news in Syracuse. I was a sports director at the NBC affiliate WSTM in Syracuse. So you're smack dab in the middle of Bills country. You have Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo. And vast majority of people in that region, that 4-city region in upstate, are Bills fans. You have some Giants and Jets, of course, from the New York area, but it's mostly Bills. And it was incredible to see the Bills fans of that area and that region. We would take trips to Rich Stadium, then called Rich Stadium, every week when they were home to cover their games. It was a big part of our coverage, and the passion and the dedication, the love. And I think that comes with, it's almost like Green Bay in my mind, where you have a very small city with a big team.
Yep. Now,
Green Bay is unique because it's the only, you have Milwaukee, obviously, but it's not that close to Green Bay. It's just an island by itself. And Buffalo is a relatively small upstate New York city, but they have the Bills. They have the Sabres, rather. So, and AAA baseball. Whereas Green Bay is just the Packers. So there's some other stuff to do in Buffalo, but boy, that is one passionate fan base. And I'm sure that they celebrated pretty hard, and they still continue to celebrate pretty hard. But if they're, I don't think there's any way to answer if they party the most, but I'm sure they're up there. Let's call them top 5. They are very, very passionate about their team, and clearly one game from the Super Bowl this year, thanks to Josh Allen and that coaching staff. Boy, they have gotten good in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, I think that's going to be a team to reckon with, probably for a 5 to 7 year span in the AFC.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree with that, because I think it seems like the old days of the Bills came back this year with Josh Allen, and their defense was good. You saw what they did to Lamar Jackson, and they confused the heck out of the Ravens.
They really did. They clearly it's all 3 phases with the Bills. It's not just offense with Allen. And if you watch these guys play, so it's interesting with the NFL draft coming up now. And I read Sam Darnold's quotes about being upset that he's going to be expendable now. You think about what the amount of effort and the research and the money that went into drafting Sam Darnold out of USC. And now he's expendable in a 3 to 4 year span. You quarterback position is so incredibly important, not college football for sure, but the NFL without exception. You have to have not just a good quarterback, but a great quarterback.
Great one. Yep.
So the Bills have that. If you watch him his pocket presence, the fact that he's an oak tree in the pocket and you can't sack the guy. He's not only huge, but he's elusive and smart. It's that combination of that he has not just the it factor, but the greatness and technical skills. And he's so young, avoiding major injury. He's going to be like Aaron Rodgers. He's going to play for the next 15 years. So if you have that dominant quarterback at that position, and you make sure you put a great offensive lineman around him, an offensive line, and skill players, which they did with Diggs, because I'm a Viking fan. I was so bummed to see him leave Minnesota. He becomes an instant superstar in Buffalo with Allen. That's a combination that could be effective for a long time.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, Dave,
it's amazing how quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's amazing how quick quarterbacks now just A, are expendable, and B, how quickly they progress. I mean, the old days, even like 10 years ago, of quarterbacks sitting for a year, like a McNair or a Culpepper, that's pretty much all out the window. It's either
out the window for sure.
Yeah, prove
Absolutely.
it, or like you're gone. And Darnold
it used to be maybe 2 or 3 years that you'd hold the clipboard and have the baseball cap on and the headset, and you'd learn from the starter. And nowadays, I mean, these quarterbacks coming in are going to be Lawrence and Zach Wilson, and the Vance kid from North Dakota State are going to be expected to start immediately and produce immediately.
Yep.
Now they're well paid, and they are the amount of coaching that goes in, and the amount of physical training now that all individual coaching, strength coaches, nutritionists. I mean, it's a different world than it was 10 years ago. But I mean, think about the last 10 years of Sam Darnold's Mariota's a good example. These guys are such high draft picks. They win Heisman trophies. They win Davey O'Brien Award winners, Unitas Award winners in college. And you're certain watching them play in college, they'll develop into tremendous NFL quarterbacks. And sometimes they're absolute busts. It's amazing to think about that. Blake Bortles from UCF. Yeah. You're talking about Florida.
Russell.
Yeah, Jamarcus Russell. Good quarterbacks. Well, at least not in Russell's case, but in Bortles' case, he was for 3 to 4 years. It looked like he was going to progress and trend up to be a star in the league. And where is he now? Who knows? That position, the fragility to me, it's just amazing to think about how much is invested into the time and effort to draft these guys, the research, the testing that goes into it physically and mentally. And some are great at it and some aren't. I think it has to do with intelligence level. I really do. It's not just physical.
I agree.
You have to be able to read defenses so fast and make that decision so fast and have great players around you. I mean, if you're not protected by a good offensive line, forget it. If you have a defense that can't stop the other team, forget it, because you're losing. So it's man, there's a fine line, I think. And Sam Darnold might go somewhere and be a great quarterback. Who knows? What is he, like 26? He's a young guy.
Well, I think he's 23.
23.
I think he's younger than.
Yeah, I think he came out a year early, right? And young guys. So it's a great question. You can't win without a great one, and you can't be a great one in the first 3 or 4 years of your career. You're out. So,
it's amazing.
Good luck.
Exactly. Well, Dave, real quick, I want to ask you. You covered the Professional Bowlers Tour a couple weeks ago, not last weekend.
Not last week. I missed the 300 game. Rob Stone gets the 300 game, of course.
Yeah, and the 710 split.
The 710. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so excited I forgot. Yeah, I mean, good for the youngster Anthony Nair to get. It's awesome. I was thinking about that. I've called how many bowling shows on Fox and ESPN and CBS? Like hundreds. I've seen the Big Four, which is hard to make. Been done once on TV. There it is. But the 710 is extraordinary and good for him to see it come off the back wall. And I know that Rob and Randy went nuts on the air, as they should have. Yeah, I probably would have done the same thing. I was thinking how I would have called that. It's an amazing moment. It's a great moment in TV history. It hadn't been done since 1991. Jess Stayrook in Tucson, Arizona. I mean, that'd been like the automatic thing you say on the air. Well, we haven't seen it since 91. And then I thought it was interesting that Randy actually before Anthony made that shot, Randy, who normally does not bring up the stat about how rare it is, did. And I also noticed on Twitter someone was videoing Rob and Randy calling it.
Oh, wow.
So they must have had some, and I don't know if it was a stage manager or someone from our crew, the crew, Someone was rolling the camera on that. So I don't know, like if they had a feeling he was going to do it. I mean, you were talking about like 30 seconds between shots, 15 seconds.
Right.
It was pretty interesting. It all happened that way. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And Dave, did you realize the 4 people made the 7-10 split? 3 of them were left-handed.
Yeah, that's an amazing number too. I did not know that.
Yeah, Mark
That's
Roth
good nugget,
is the only
Chris.
right-handed.
I'll have to mention that. I'm doing the Super Slam this week, so I'll go to Virginia on Friday. I'll bring that up. I'll bring your note up.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Mark Roth is the only righty.
Mark Roth's the only righty of now. Of the guys who made the 7-10. Yeah, it's incredible. I probably have, been on the air for maybe, I was thinking about it today, maybe 30 or 40 7-10s, maybe more. And you just sort of, when it's up there like the big 4, you're like, well, there's no way he's going to make it. So you just sort of move on with the scoreboard, and you're looking at the score next to you, and you figure, okay, it's an open frame. It's open. And to see him make it, and the way he did too, with a 10 going across to the 7 was so unusual. Yeah. So, but it also was interesting that he was getting blown out in the game. So it would have been, I think, a little cooler if he had won. I mean, he was out and probably at that point actually mathematically eliminated from the match.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool anyway to see some history for sure.
Yeah. I made the 7-10 split in league play one time. And I did the John Mazda play, the way he hit it, but I did it from the right side and bounced it out and rolled it over to the other side. And somebody looked at me in the league, go, "No, you hit the ball return." No, I didn't. Yeah, and I had people in the bar still like saying I was lying about it. I was like, "No, I saw it firsthand, and I had a whole lane of people watching me." So I mean,
and the 7-10
yeah.
You think about people asking me about a perfect game in bowling, and that's sort of like a perfect game in baseball. The 300 game in bowling is about as rare as maybe a no-hitter, maybe a little more common on TV than a no-hitter or perfect game in baseball. But the 7-10, I don't know how you compare that. Like that.
Yeah.
1991. There have been a lot of bowling shows on the air since 1991. We can try to count them up on the different networks. I mean, how many would you guys guess? Like, in 30 years?
Yeah.
500 shows? How many would you? Hundreds.
Yeah. I know ABC had for a while, they had like half the season on like the summer tour, like 24 shows, and then that
there have been
off.
so many since. I mean,
we're going to be here for days.
I'm guessing since I was trying to think how many I've done myself. I mean, hundreds. Probably around 200 shows I've done. And then Rob's done a ton, and Dave Lamont's done a ton. And so you add those all up. And I started in 2002 doing national TV bowling. So now you're got to go back another 11 or whatever it is years.
Yeah.
To 91.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of bowling shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes it even weirder that the one before when John Mazda hit it in 90, so you had one in 90 and one in 91.
Yeah, maybe we'll get one of the Super Slam this week.
No, they're both
12:30 Eastern on Fox. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I was doing the stats. They're both 1991. One was done in February down in Florida at the Florida Open, and this one was done. Just Saywork was done in the Tucson Open in the summer.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember the Stamen one.
Yeah, and his was a little weird because he hit the left pin, the 7, and just somehow he bounced in and rolled over and hit the 10 pin. He was like that, okay, buddy.
And Anthony was excited about it, and Kimberly interviewed him afterwards, but it was in a losing effort. Like he got just crushed in the match. So it's not quite the same pizzazz you might have had if you had won the match and even won the U.S. Open, which has been incredible. But good for Chris Fye to win. We've interviewed him a lot. He's clearly an amazing bowler who's been on so many major shows in the last year and a half. So good for him to break through. That's top seed is critical to get.
Yeah, here's Mazda real quick.
Nice.
Mazda.
Oh, you got it. Look at that. Lefty.
Yeah. That's what I did, but I did it from the right side. So that's pretty interesting to see. I was doing I did some research on that one time. I looked at my mother. I did that the right side. She goes, okay. And I'm like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. But good for him. Great to see bowling history. I'm a big record guy and history guy, so that's really fun.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, Dave, thanks so much for coming on this morning. Enjoy your trip to Virginia, and we'll see you Sunday on Fox Sports 1 and Super Clash, everybody, and
You got it.
I'm hoping to be home to watch it because I'm getting my COVID shot on Saturday.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I don't know how the
Excellent.
second one's going to react, but I might stay home and watch bowling, just for the day.
Well, be sure to get vaccinated and be safe, guys. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, man. Have a great one.
Good to see you guys.
See you. And that's our good friend Dave Ryan from. That happens sometimes, it's just one of those things with technology. You hate it.
No, I know. I've had it when I've
thanks for
tried having Zoom meetings with like Miller and Varga. Hold on, I got to get the dog.
Okay, well, let me bring in Trey here. Hi, Trey.
Good morning. How's it going?
Doing good. Sorry for the bowling talk there. We had Dave Ryan from CBS, and I used to watch bowling when I was a kid growing up, and it was pretty cool when the guy got the 7-10 split made on TV last week. I was like, wow, I haven't seen that since I was like a young kid in 1991. Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah. I learned a lot in the last few minutes.
Hey, take that to your broadcast when you do the, like a lot of stats. So, how's everything going down there in Richmond? I know you guys are gearing up for the season. It's going to be like May 4th when everybody's going to kick off.
Yeah, we're going to start on May 4th, so 3 weeks from yesterday. We're just about there. Things are getting pretty hectic. This has been one of the craziest off seasons that I think any of us have ever experienced. Obviously, this off season's been carrying since Labor Day of 2019. So we're really excited to get back to what we do and to get some ball games going again here in just a few weeks. It's been a really long time since we've gotten to see our guys take the field and to see some fans fill up the Diamond in Richmond, and it's really exciting to get back to it.
Yeah. What is the how many people are you allowed in the stadium? What is the common? What is King Ralph saying down there in the Commonwealth? That's what my dad calls him, King Ralph. Yeah.
Yeah. The capacity for outdoor venues in Virginia right now is 30%. So for us, that's just a little under 3,000 because the Diamond holds just under 10,000 in its current configuration. So we'll be at a little less than 3,000 to start. We're optimistic that as the summer goes on, as more people get vaccinated, as hopefully virus numbers go down, that number might go up. But that's what we're working with for right now, and that's what we're expecting it to be when we start on May 4th.
Do you have any idea who's going to be on the roster yet?
I have some ideas, but I am going to sit on them a little while longer, let the Giants go through their process out in Scottsdale. And I think that we're going to have a lot of new faces on this year's team, especially having been an entire year off. There's going to be a lot of really good young talent in Richmond this year. And the Giants have an up-and-coming minor league system. I know just a few years ago when I first got to this gig after being in Altoona with the Pirates organization, the Giants in Baseball America's minor league system rankings were I believe they were 29th out of 30. And then just a year later, they've jumped up to like 14th. So there's been a lot of progress there, at least in the opinion of the people at Baseball America, who I value what they have to say. They know what they're talking about usually.
They do.
The Giants, we got to see some fun prospects in 2019 at the end of the season, especially with Joey Bart, who's now made the majors. He's back down in the alternate training site right now with Buster Posey being back for the Giants. But Joey Bart was a real deal. You could tell when his first couple games was a real deal prospect. Mm-hmm. And Elliot Ramos, who I don't know if he'll be here to start the season. I don't know if the people who are making that decision know yet if he'll be here to start the season. But he's another young prospect for the Giants, an outfielder. He's got some good power at the plate. We saw him hit some very majestic home runs back in 2019. So he might be here to start the year. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if the people who are making that decision know yet if he'll be here. And then there are some players. There are going to be some young players that, especially with the reshuffling of the minor league organization as it is, plus not having a year off, it's really hard to pinpoint who's going to be at AA to start the year and who might be here later in the year. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah. Hey, Trey, how tough is it to have the Giants on the AA team in the East Coast, and if they need somebody for the AAA or whatever, they have to literally get on a red eye and go wherever the AAA affiliate is, and it must be hard for you guys getting players back and forth because you got to wait an extra day, to fill that hole.
Yeah, before this restructuring, there were at least 2 Giants affiliates on the East Coast because they also had a single A affiliate in Augusta, Georgia. Well, technically, they're in North Augusta, South Carolina, with their new ballpark. But they're now with the Braves, which is a great fit for Augusta. And the Giants now have their low A team, which Augusta used to be, in San Jose, which is great for them. And they've got their high A team in Eugene, Oregon, which is also great for them. And then their AAA teams in Sacramento, which has been a good fit for them as well. And here we are all the way on the East Coast. We're the only minor league affiliate for the Giants that's on this side of the country. And but the relationship is great. The Giants player development staff and everyone else over there, they have a great relationship with our front office staff. There's a good back and forth there. And then that's something that was valued as this whole thing was being shuffled up over the last year. So it is a little bit strange to have to send players all the way across the country anytime that they go up or down. But it was definitely worse before. If you were a Giants minor leaguer, you most likely started in Scottsdale, Arizona, in one of the camp leagues there. You went from Scottsdale, Arizona, all the way up the West Coast to Salem Kaiser, Oregon, and then from Salem Kaiser, you went all the way back across the country to Augusta, and then after you went up from Augusta, you went to San Jose on the West Coast. From San Jose, you went all the way back across the country to Richmond. After you graduated from Richmond, you went back across the country to Sacramento, and then hopefully you make the trip up to San Francisco. So before, it was a cross-country trip anytime you'd go up or down the ladder. Now we're the only ones who are over here on this side of the country, so that should make it a lot easier on those players. But also travel isn't nearly as difficult as it used to be. It's not much to get on a plane and just take a nap for 5 or 6 hours.
No, and it kind of helps, at least having, some kind of, since you guys, the main team is on the West Coast, it kind of helps build a little bit of a fan base on the East Coast.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there are a ton of Giants fans here, but there are definitely people who are more of Giants fans because the team is in Richmond. There are some people that I've met here in Richmond who were Giants fans before the Giants moved in to become the affiliate in this city. But I enjoy being a Giants affiliate because it's nice for me after a home game. I have a 35, 40-minute drive home after games, and I can flip on the radio, flip on my MLB app, and listen to the Giants playing at 11:30, 12 o'clock while I'm on my way, at midnight while I'm on my way home after a home game. And, it's in the middle of the game, and the Giants have such great broadcasters, with Dwayne Kuiper and John Miller and Dave Fleming and everybody else in that crew. So it's always a good crew to listen to. So I enjoy that aspect of it where I get to listen to their games live as I'm driving home, leaving the Diamond at midnight or 1 in the after a home game.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to John Miller when he was up in Cooperstown getting the award for broadcaster, his Ford Flick Award. It was pretty cool to talk to him. But I wasn't up there. I was down at D.C. and I got a media pass, and I said I was here to talk to John Miller. And John Miller goes, "You're from Baltimore?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Come on up. Come up to the press box." I'm like, "Okay." So I'm sitting there just talking to him before the game, and he was the nicest guy I ever had, sit down and conversation wise. He was down to earth. I asked a lot of questions about the Orioles and him, doing MLB games, and he was great. Great answers.
Yeah, I've always liked listening to John Miller. His ESPN time back a few years ago, obviously became a national voice, or he was already a national voice, but that solidified it for another generation. I think for people who are about my age who heard a lot of him on those games. And I've always been a big fan of listening to him and his style of broadcasting. So it's nice to have him calling games for the organization that I work alongside.
Yeah, exactly. Trey, you you have a new manager this year, but he's not really a new manager. He was back. I think he was here in 2019. Jose, I can't say his last name. He's from Venezuela. He
Jose
it looks like
Alguacil.
yeah. Yeah, did you get a chance to talk to him before? Is he a great guy, great baseball
Yeah,
manager, or what?
I first met Augie when he was managing Richmond in 2015. He was the last manager in Richmond who led the team to a winning record, and he was great. It's been a while since they've had that kind of success, but he's very well regarded within the Giants organization. He was on the major league staff with Bruce Bochy for several years after he left Richmond, and he was assigned to be the manager for the Flying Squirrels for 2020, but obviously the season didn't happen, so we didn't get a chance to have him here. But he was very popular in Richmond. He's very popular with our front office. I've talked with him plenty over the last couple of years, and of course, I first met him. Now it's been 6 years ago, so I've known him well. But I'm excited because he runs a clubhouse that I think it'll be good for getting these players developed onto the next level, and I think it'll be good for winning some baseball games, which is something that Richmond hasn't seen very much of in the last since 2015. The last year that he was here was the last year that the team had a winning record. So with all the talent that should be here this season, plus his leadership, you hope to see some that turn into some wins on the field this season.
Yeah, that's true. Trey, well, real quick, the schedule now is like you have a 6-game series with everybody. Do you like that? You have 6 games. You have 6 games at home against Bowie, and then you got to go to Bowie for 6 games. And do you think that's a great way of doing it this year?
For this year, yeah. I don't like it long term, but for this year, honestly, anything we have to do to get the games in after not having games for a year, and anything that we can do to help keep things safe, which that's part of it. Less time spent traveling. You get settled into one city for a week, and you're kind of isolated into a not quite a bubble, but a little bit of that type of setup. And so for this year, I'm happy to have us go to one city at a time for 6 days. Now, from a baseball standpoint, the things can get a little bit. You see the same team for 6 consecutive days. A 4-game series a lot of times. By the end of day 4, the players sometimes might be a little sick of seeing each other.
Yeah.
So the last half of these series could get a little
dicey,
a little testy. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think everybody understands what we're up against this year and what the main goal is, and that is to put on a good show for these players to get developed and to do whatever we have to do to keep people safe and healthy. And after not having baseball last year, almost all of these players didn't play any baseball last year outside of spring training, unless there were a handful of them who got to go to the alternate sites. But I think that everybody this year is quite content to just say, whatever we have to do, we'll do it, and we'll make it work. And then I'll campaign going forward to try and make sure that we're not continuing 6-game series after this year. But for this year, it makes sense.
Yeah,
exactly. I agree. Well, Trey, thank you so much for coming on this morning, and I hope to see you. I may make a trip down to Richmond. Will and I might make a little road trip one day, go down and see a game there at the old ballpark. The Diamond. He's been there so many years. I think it's been there since the Richmond Braves were there, and I think you had some other famous people stop by there. But it's a nice little stadium.
Yeah, it opened in '85. It's served a very good 3+ decades, and it's a great environment to see a game. The fans make that place loud every game, and it's always great. Tickets are going to be really, really high demand this year because of the limited capacity. So we're expecting to have, if everything goes well, we're not expecting there to be a whole lot of tickets available on a day-to-day basis. So until the capacity gets lifted. I mean, you think about it, we usually average over 6,000, and we're only going to be allowed 3,000 this year. So tickets are going to be in pretty high demand. So I'm encouraging anybody who wants to get tickets to try to line them up when they get released next week.
That works. Yeah, send us the link. We'll put it on our website so everybody can go on there if they want get Richmond's tickets, or if anybody from Bowie wants to make the road trip to Richmond, we'll get it done.
We'll be seeing a lot of the Bay Sox this year. So, squirrelsbaseball.com. And looking forward to getting up to Bowie again, too. I always love being in Maryland. And we stay in Annapolis when we're up there, which is one of my favorite towns. So, looking forward to it.
That's cool. All right, Trey. Thank you so much. Have a great morning.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
See y'all.
See ya. All right, folks. That's Trey Wilson from the Richmond Flying Squirrels. Well, I saw the mascot the first time I saw it. It was I was at a CAA basketball tournament. I said, "What is that?" And they're like, "Oh, that's this flying squirrel." I'm like, okay. I'm like, good for you.
Bro, you look like a raccoon, man.
Oh, me this morning? Oh my God! I woke up at 8:30, and I'm like, oh, a couple more minutes. I'll roll back over. And I woke up. It was like 9:25. I was like, oh God, yeah, yeah. So hey, you and I, it's been a long week. Yeah.
You took Nicole Soto away, and she punched you in both eyes.
It's called I need vitamin D. It's okay. Yeah, need some sunshine. So anyway, we were waiting for Dot Richardson from Liberty University, the women's coach. They don't have a game today, so I guess she probably took the day off. So we're waiting for her. Everybody canceled yesterday, because of the rain. And yeah, you look outside the window here in my office here in Cockeysville. It's not even raining. So,
I was going to say, like, I cut the backyard of my house and my neighbor's house yesterday.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. So we'll wait for her to join us shortly. But here's the rest of the schedule at 11:10. In 5 minutes, if we don't get her on, we'll get Amy Jennings from the Masson Nationals. She covers the Nationals. The Nationals got lit up in St. Louis last night by the Cardinals. That was if you're not a Nationals fan, if you were a Nationals fan, you'd probably turn it off in the fourth inning. It was terrible. 11:30, we have a former major leaguer, Derek May, who is now the the manager of the Frederick Keys, who is part of the brand new league that the Major League Baseball made called the Drill League. I want to know how this thing is going to work. It's really interesting. They got teams who. Trenton Thunder. They used to be the Double-A affiliate of the Yankees, where Derek Jeter used to play. They had other. Let me bring them up here. I made you a list here. Hold on here. Here it is. Yeah, here's in the draft league. You got the Scrappers, who used to be in the New York Penn League, and along with the State College Spikes. Then you got Virginia Black Bears, who used to be there in the New York Penn League. And then Williamsport Cross Cutters used to be in the New York Penn League. So you got one team used to be in the Eastern League, and the other three has been in the New York Penn League. So that's pretty interesting. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, that will be very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how, but they're not affiliated with any club. That's the thing. They don't have any affiliation with anybody. It's like an independent ball. And I guess you could bring scouts to Frederick and watch players and sign them, or are these the players that they don't get picked up in the June draft in Major League Baseball, and they just go there and play.
There have been many players that have started off in the majors, or even if they haven't, have gone into these independent leagues and have been picked up by major league programs or teams, and ended up having decent seasons, or even in some cases careers. I mean, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but
Mm-hmm. Exactly. ACC baseball today. Well, your Hurricanes supposed to be playing Florida Gulf Coast today at 4:00. So, have you been at Canes baseball? They've been okay this year. Not bad. They've been on the UC network. I've been watching a lot of them. A little bit there.
They had a good opening series against Florida when they were ranked number 1, and other than that, they've been kind of like just floating around the top 10. Yeah,
and then you got NC State playing North Carolina A&T after a back-to-back game, because last night they played Appalachian State and beat Appalachian State. So that's pretty hard for these kids, but they got to get used to it. You play Major League Baseball, you have to play back-to-back games. Yeah. So let's bring the head coach of Liberty softball, Dot Richardson, joining us. Hi, Coach. How you doing?
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me, Chris?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Thank you for joining us this morning. How's the weather down there in Lynchburg? Is it raining or are they messed up the forecast?
Hey, it is beautiful right now. It's supposed to rain, I think, later this afternoon, like 3:00 or so.
Okay. Yeah, you guys were supposed to play. Yeah, you guys were supposed to play Virginia Tech today, but that got postponed.
Correct.
I worked with you guys on the ACC network last week against Virginia. So, what did you guys talk about that game against Virginia? You guys just basically beat a very good Cavalier team.
Yeah, it was really nice because I think the team is getting in a good role right now. And, we had a little lull there when we played Bellarmine and, the next week. And then all of a sudden, I think we're breaking out of it. And it's great to see it.
That's great. What are your expectations like heading forward?
Well, my expectations is always being the best we can be. And if we do that, you should be able to see us postseason. That's
kind of
towards
where
the
I was
odd, taking the memories back. There's Amber, who's really having a great season this year as well. But the expectation is we got to win, the North Division of the ASUN. Hopefully we'll be seeded 1 or 2. And then we'll host our playoffs, which are going to be a best out of 3. And then we'll get to the Final Four ASUN Championship Tournament held in Kennesaw State. And then with that, if we're on, we're going to be very hard to beat. I think we are bidding to host, potentially regionals. And if that happens, it could be really fun to be playing regionals at our home stadium. But that's up in the air. We don't know if that's going to happen.
That would be great. Because home field advantage, means a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the whole college. Liberty University is doing really well in sports this year. They had a good football program that beat Virginia Tech in football and won the bowl game. The basketball team made it to the NCAA tournament. You guys are doing well. The baseball team beat Wake Forest last week. It's been a fantastic year for the Flames down there in Lynchburg.
Well, I think that's what's happened. It happens when, 1, you're trusting the Lord. 2 is you're getting coaching staffs that are committed to really, stay for a while, right? And to be able to develop their programs. And then the other is when you have the support that we have from the university and the athletic department. It's just, we have everything we can possibly need, and we have no excuses, to not really do our best and make it happen.
That's cool. So,
I think field hockey is ranked 5th in the country too. So I don't know if you mentioned field hockey. I mean, it's spectacular just to see what's happening.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by the folks down there in Lynchburg. My parents went to Lynchburg College, and my mom told me back then Liberty University was the small college, Lynchburg was the big college. Now it's the other way around. Yeah, you guys are bigger than Lynchburg. So it's pretty interesting down there in that area.
Yeah, it's just great, you guys. I'm humbled to be a part of it. We are here, my staff, since 2013-14 academic year, and I can't believe it's been 8 years already. But every year, getting better and better with our sport. Our RPI hit its highest ever, which is 11th in the country. So we got, I think it was up to 12 votes to be in the top 25. I'm not really sure if those voting in the top 25 are ready for non-Power 5 teams to be looked at strongly, but they're starting to, and I'm excited about that. And hopefully we can break that barrier. We're getting really close. I don't know if you've seen the number 1 team in the country, Oklahoma. We lost to them. Very close game by 1 run. Alabama, just 1 run going to the bottom of the 6th inning, and we ended up losing 3-6. LSU, we were right there losing, I think, 4-5 in the bottom of the 7th inning. And this is playing their aces. So teams are throwing their best, and for us, it's fun to be able to knock their aces out and have them use a bigger depth in their bullpen in order to beat us. So we've come a long way.
Wow.
How long do you think it's going to take? I mean, and this kind of can go across all sports for non-Power 5 conferences to actually get the respect they deserve.
Well, that's a tough decision. I think that, I think football being an FBS obviously helps, when you look at us, but a lot of the non-Power 5 teams don't have, football. at the FBS level. You know, some do, obviously. We have 32 conferences for softball, right? But I think there's just maybe, you know, with football, you know, there's just that presence so much that people think of those schools, you know, pretty heavily. But, you know, talk is cheap, right? I mean, you got to win. You got to win. You got to beat them. It's not just playing them. It's not just being close. You got to beat them. And that's what I want. And so for us, we got to get, you know, our pitchers are very young and they're getting better every game. We also have a really strong recruit coming in as a pitcher that's going to complement what we have. And then it's just a matter of hitting. So Bishop twins are doing great, but they graduate this year. And they've helped to build our Liberty legacy and continue that and growing at a national level. But we have some great hitters coming in as well. So I'm really excited about the future.
That's awesome.
That's great. So you were supposed to play Virginia Tech this afternoon, but we know about the weather. Who are you playing this weekend? You got a doubleheader against anybody from the I couldn't bring up the schedule here real quick. I'm trying to do it on my phone.
We head down to Jacksonville, and so we're going to play North Florida and Jacksonville University for the ASUN conference. They are now this year in the South Division. We are in the North Division, so they're calling this a crossover weekend. And the rain is down there. So we're probably going to move the games. We're going to try for Friday and maybe hopefully get a game or two in on Saturday. And then we play UVA again, you guys, and this time at our place midweek. And then we play Bellarmine the following next weekend. They're in the North Division for the ASUN.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, Coach Richardson, thank you so much for coming on. I know we would have loved to preview the game against Virginia Tech, but we'll get you on another time down the road. We'll talk Virginia. Maybe next week we'll talk Virginia softball with you against. You're going to play them again, and thanks for coming on.
We'll be playing Virginia Tech here at our place April 28th, and then we'll play them May 5th at their place. So hopefully we can do this again, you guys, and just appreciate the opportunity.
Look forward to it.
We'll get you on that week of the 28th.
Sounds great. Go Flames. God
on.
bless everybody. You got it.
God bless you. Thank you. All right, folks. That was the head coach of Liberty Softball, Dot Richardson. We couldn't really talk anymore about the games because the games got postponed. So really hard. Yeah. Let's go in depth with the weather, Will. Let's bring in the map.
The weatherman, the only job where you can be wrong constantly and make big money.
I asked Justin Burke that one time. I had a chance to talk to him. I had a field trip to News Channel 2, and I said, "Okay, you're the weather guy. Do you ever get any emails or anybody saying like, why do you still have a job?" And he goes all the time, but I just throw him away. I'm like, that's good.
I mean, as long as you can sit there and utilize a screen like that green screen and be able to sit there and play with that correctly on TV, pretty much your job is safe.
Yeah, one thing it reminds me of Anchorman 2. Where's my legs? Where's my legs?
It's windy out.
Oh God! Yeah. All right, let's bring in Amy Jennings here, who covers the Masson, does the national stuff. We'll just talk about the weather. We should bring in a weather map today. It's like here's the front coming in, for everyone, like everybody else trying to, they canceled everything around here for college sports because they think the rain's coming. I'm like, when? And so it's crazy. So you covered the Nationals. So Nationals last night, tough loss against the Cardinals. I guess the Cardinals woke up after losing to them on Monday. So what did you take from that game last night?
Yeah, I mean, that was a rough one, guys. I mean, it's kind of at that point, it's like, all right, let them score all the runs they can, and we'll try again tomorrow. It's tough because they play in just under 2 hours, so it's a turnaround from that game. All those runs scored. Brutal loss to a day game today, but hopefully they can pick it back up. And then they come home for a 4-game series, so that's always good. I mean, it's completely different last year. I mean, I felt like we talked about, they come home. Well, it didn't really matter because they didn't have fans in the stands. There's no home field advantage. But now this year you can really say, oh, well, they come home for a 4-game series. That can really make a difference. But that was tough. I mean, I think the main takeaway was Steven Strasburg. I mean, obviously all the eyes are on his health this year. And you're so worried kind of every time he goes out there, is he going to have a healthy, real Steven Strasburg year? And last night it didn't really look like that.
No.
Even Max Scherzer's having a hard time too because he got roughed up on opening day and he still struck out a lot of people, but he's just, I think early in the season, everybody's getting themselves ready to go. You'll see Max get better later in the year, but it's just like, but if you're not Jacob deGrom, who struck out 14, and still can't even get any run support, that's sad.
Right, exactly. I mean, and this team has so much money tied up in that starting pitching, so it's like that's going to be the key to having a good season or not. Is you need those guys to stay healthy, and of course, Max Scherzer's older. This is his contract year. Steven Strasburg hasn't really stayed healthy for an entire season in his whole career. I mean, likely a Hall of Fame pitcher, but if you look back at his numbers, it's like he hasn't made every single one of his starts in a whole season. No. So that'll be key. And you worry after that carpal tunnel stuff, you worry if he's going to be back and be fine. And there was that controversy about that camera being in the tunnel last night. And Steven Strasburg was ticked about that because he's back there, moving his hand, moving his shoulder. And there probably shouldn't have been a camera there, but you see that and you're kind of like, whoa, maybe we should be worried.
How much of an effect do you think, the delay with the COVID problems, what kind of effect do you think that had on the team?
It's tough. I mean, they lost they had 2 starting pitchers out. They had their first baseman, their second baseman, their left fielder. It's kind of hard to say that's not going to make a difference, especially when they came out and they weren't really hitting. I mean, the first game they got those guys back, and Josh Bell, Kyle Schwarber, and Josh Harrison, they won. I mean, they won opening day, dropped 5 straight, and then those guys were back in the lineup and they won. So obviously that makes a huge difference. They reached base six times in their first game back, scored 2 runs and drove in another. So that's going to be really key. But you also can't, I guess, mope around too much about it, because you look at the Marlins last year and the same thing. They had their whole roster out, turned their season around and made the playoffs. So I guess you can't mope around about it too much, but it does make a difference when you have all those guys out, especially in a lineup that wasn't producing a whole lot when those guys weren't in it. Yeah.
When is John Lister coming to start pitching? I know did he get hit with COVID, or is he on the DL, or what's going on with him? Because they picked him up as a big activation this year.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that was kind of a little bit of a slower start. We didn't know if he was going to end up making his first start, but then he was one of those guys that was hit with the COVID. So he's one of the ones that has not come back off that list. He might be the only one outside of I think he might be the only one. So we're not really sure about him. I think he's throwing. I think they're taking looks at him, but I'm not sure when he's expected to make that start. So that'll be key. I mean, missing that last guy in that rotation, who they were pretty excited about. I mean, obviously an experienced veteran pitcher. That's kind of key.
Let's just talk about this National League East. It's going to be a very tough season because the Mets got Francisco Lindor, and got all the missing pieces that they need, and you got the Marlins, who basically was a surprise team last year that made it to the postseason, and then you got the Phillies. Who has the edge in this division?
I mean, you have to say the Braves obviously have the edge. I mean, coming off of 3 straight division titles. What a win away from the World Series last year. They definitely have the edge, especially with that lineup. I mean, just all around, that's the best team in the division. But then you have the Mets, who spent all this money in the offseason. And I think the Mets are a team that, I mean, they're winning so far, but I think they're a team that once they get healthy, they could be kind of the difference in this division. Once they get Syndergaard back, they get Carlos Carrasco back, and everything clicks for them, they could really win. But it just depends on it clicking. You go out, spend this money, you get these star players, and sometimes it doesn't work the way you think it's going to be. And I think the Nationals could be kind of similar in that if they stay healthy, all these pieces that they filled in with all their holes at these different positions, if that all clicks for them, they could win a decent amount of games as well. But it's hard to tell. I'm going to say the Phillies are kind of further down there for me, just because I don't think that they have the pitching depth that these other teams do. Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, they have some bats, some sneaky bats. I always forget Didi Gregorius is still there.
And they also have that gigantic home plate, apparently.
Right. How about that? Wasn't that crazy?
The regulation size.
Wasn't that crazy?
That was nuts.
Yeah. So, and then who knows with the Marlins? I mean, I don't think they're really ready to compete, but they're a few years away from it. I mean, they have such young talent, but they were able to make the playoffs last year, so it's possible. This is going to be a really, really tough division. It's going to be exciting baseball to watch, but it could be up for grabs for anybody, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
I think I'm a big Mets fan, so I think the Mets might be the advantage because they spent all that money. They have a new owner who decided to spend money that the Wilpons never spent anything. I think the last time the Wilpons spent something was Mike Piazza. Well,
You're a complete homer.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just Mike Piazza, Piazza or no, it was Piazza, and then I think it was like Pedro Martinez when he was like not in his heyday. But they didn't spend a lot of money in New York. It was like you got the Yankees who, the Steinbrenners know how to open a checkbook, in 2.5 seconds. It's like how much? You need that in New York.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's a huge market.
I think honestly, the Braves are the team to beat, but I think health is going to be the key. Whether it boils down to the Nationals challenging them or the Mets challenging them. Again, yeah, I'm not a big Phillies guy. I'm just not overall impressed. I think it's either going to be the Nationals or it's going to be the Mets that challenge. I think more the Nationals, as long as that starting rotation stays healthy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and it's kind of not hard to figure out. I mean, all these teams got hit with COVID so far. They're trying to make their money back. They're just getting fans back in the stands, and then this owner comes in and can spend all this money because COVID didn't affect him at all, right? So that might wear off pretty soon once the playing field evens up. But no, I'm with you. I mean, if you can go out and spend the money, get good players. I mean, the Yankees are a proven fact. If you can spend the money, get good guys, you can win. It just depends if it works. But once they're healthy, especially that pitching staff, they're gonna be all right.
I mean, 1, 2, and 3. I mean, I think that's probably the top. If they're healthy, Strasburg, Scherzer, and Corbin, that's it. I think that's the best starting 3 there is. And to have Lester as like a 4 or a 5 is just a luxury. But again, it all just depends on health.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's going to be key.
I agree. Well, the Nationals play the Cardinals today at 1:00. It's on the MLB network, but if you don't have that, you have it. It's on Masson. So, but the MLB network is blocked on my TV. So I can't. We don't have Masson on YouTube TV. So I guess
I have YouTube TV as well, and I don't get Masson either. And their streaming service has been kind of a little bit difficult to work so far. So it's tough to watch games. I have to use a friend's MLB TV login. So
we didn't hear that. I didn't think.
No, we didn't hear that. You watch Masson all the time, right, lady? Yes, ma'am.
Right. That's right. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. Well, Amy, thanks for coming on this morning. I appreciate you taking some time. And sorry for the delays. We got people who wanted to come on at the same time as you wanted to come on, and we're trying to make it work here. Low budget program, but it works really well on Wednesday mornings. So thanks for joining us, and I'll get you guys. I'll get you back on later in the year. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks. Have a great day.
All right, folks. That's Amy Jennings, who covers the Nationals on Masson, and you heard it there first. She watches Masson. Don't leave that MLB TV stuff, okay? And plus, no offense, she can't watch the Nationals on MLB TV because it's blocked out. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You have to go down. It's fascinating. You have to go to Virginia, where Mom and Dad are down in Harrisonburg, and watch it down there.
Oh, that's screwed up.
Yeah, that's crazy. So let's bring in this guy, former major leaguer, Derek May, who just this week got signed as the manager of the Frederick Keys of this new draft league. So, Derek, thanks for joining us. I know you're a busy guy today. Thanks for taking some time before you've seen your niece and nephews and all that stuff. So, how's everything going?
It's going pretty good. Yeah, I'm actually going down to see my grandson. My oldest, lives in Alexandria. So I'm going to drive down there, see him for the day, and have a good time. I haven't seen him in a long time. So that's, because of all the COVID stuff. And, I'm finally vaccinated. And so just a little better, feels a little better to go down and see him now.
Yeah.
That's great. That's cool. I was doing some research on you. You're a former major leaguer. You played with the Orioles for one time in your career, but you also played with the Cubs and Astros. And I found something yesterday on YouTube, a home run that you hit in the Astrodome
Yeah.
against the Reds. This is sorry for the fuzziness of this. I guess this guy recorded it off of television because it's so fuzzy. It's like it
Yeah.
looks like my videotape, back in the day. Look at Will. Look
Well,
how fuzzy it is.
that's like what 30 years old almost. It's like
Look at that shot. I love that. Look, you just hit that ball and you're like, booyah, drop the mic. Yeah.
I like the backdrop. The backdrop was good.
it was this was like a story behind that because we had gotten into like two balls prior to that at bat, and what had happened was Xavier Hernandez, who was a pitcher for the Astros for many years, and they knew Bagwell and Biggio and all those guys, and he came in and he hit Bagwell, and like that was like a trigger for us because Bagwell was like he was our guy, he was the guy who was kind of we go as he goes, right? So they hit him in the hand, and we just kind of like everybody just kind of just went out there. It wasn't even close because there was something going on prior to that. But so we got in a couple of, fights there. It wasn't, kind of the whole hugging each other and stuff like that. But we got a couple of those. And so the thing that they did was that they said, Derek, come pinch hit for the pitcher. Basically, it was a closer game than looked like, but so I pinch hit with the bases loaded, and so that was it. Got to work the count to 3-2, and the guy threw me up and in fastball. And Kevin Jarvis, who's a pitcher, he was actually one of my players later on, so it was fun. That was one of the fun. But he threw the pitch up and in, and I don't know how I hit it, but it had to be adrenaline or whatever. But that's kind of the story behind the standing looking backdrop or whatever it was, because we were kind of in that that fight mode at that time. So that was I don't do that a lot.
Video. If you look at the video, well, the Reds manager is Ray Knight.
I saw.
Yeah, and I have a story. Yeah. Derek, I have a story about that. I talked to Ray Knight years ago, and I asked him, like, "Are you ever going to be a manager again?" He goes, "No, because I don't want to be dealing with babies that don't know what time to get to the ballpark and what they have to do with the schedule and all that stuff. You're a grown man. You should know what time to get to the ballpark." I was like, that's a good point. But a lot of people need to be told what time to get to work.
It's true. I mean, it's one thing. Like I think that kind of the way it's been, like the culture, like it's that people weren't they were afraid to tell players certain things, right? So because a lot of it was handled by the players themselves, right? So like when you're an older player, you saw a young player come in late, you're saying, hey, like, what are you doing? Like you better be the first one here, that type of thing. So but yeah, now kind of it's got away from that. But I believe that like good teams, really good teams, players police themselves that way, So that's the difference. I think what makes a good manager is when he says, go to those veteran guys and says, hey, make sure that these guys are doing what they need to do. And that was kind of the way when I was coaching the Cardinals organization, is that they did that with their players. I mean, Albert Pujols was always the first one there, making sure that the young guys were doing what they needed to do. Chris Carpenter was always the first one there, the hardest worker, and making sure the young guys did what they were supposed to do. I mean, it's just like something like that is something that good teams, they always have good players that, players that police themselves and do things that, that you're supposed to do. So,
do you have any good kangaroo court stories?
We can't tell. You can't say like that.
Well, like no. I wasn't.
I know. I'm just saying. But it's funny. It's like when I was a player, I had to go through kangaroo court with we had like Danny Jackson was there, and with the Cubs at that time, and then Randy Myers was another guy, but I don't really remember a whole lot of like something that was that was funny. But what happened was I was coaching in the Rockies organization, and I bring it back, right, because I wanted to make sure that guys were accountable, but also that they could laugh at themselves. So it was one of those things that I believe that the game is it's so hard and so intense that players kind of lose that part of it. They lose that fun part of it. So, and they have to be able to laugh at themselves too, because you can't take yourself that serious where you're going to be, basically grinding yourself into mental, mental whatever it is. But it's just one of those things that like I brought back so that each player, when I find you, you might have to dance or you might have to do something, but it's gonna be something that you're not gonna be comfortable with, but you're gonna be able to laugh at yourself later on and say, remember that. So
that's cool.
That's awesome. Good. Now, I was looking at your bio. You played in Montreal for 1 year. What was it like playing up in Canada? Was it very strange listening to two different languages when they're doing the game? Because one's in French, one's in English, and you're like, who are they calling up to the plate because you're trying to figure out what they're saying?
yeah, I mean it's easy. You know who's coming to the plate. I mean that's one thing. But you're right. I mean you had to hear both anthems, and then you had to hear they did it in both, which was fine. It wasn't there, all that much. I mean, I was there for for the year, but I wasn't living there the whole time. I mean, you can handle that. And actually, it was a really nice place. And I wish that they did have baseball there, still. But obviously, the fans, it was distracting, and I don't know exactly why they don't come, but the fans that are there are really 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 good fans. So I wish they were there still.
Exactly. Let's talk about this new league coming up this year. You got signed by Frederick Keys, and this is a brand new league. It's one of these Major League Baseball draft league. You got teams from the Mahomey Valley Scrappers used to be in the New York Home League, and then you got Trenton's Thunder used to be where Derek Jeter and the Yankees used to be for a while, and then the Black Bears, and then the Crosscutters used to be the Phillies organization. So you got hired along with Coco Criswell as one of the managers.
Yes.
For I think he's now they're in the Mahama Valley or one of them, and Jeff Manto is one of them. Yeah. So
and one of my former players, Jed Durko, is the manager of West Virginia. So I think it's a great thing, and the reason I think it's a great league is because to manage that is because I think that with all the young and I'm gonna be able to actually have give them stuff that maybe that I didn't hear when I was younger. You know what I mean? So it's like that's kind of the thing, and give back to kind of young players coming in or aspiring to be professional major league players. Like say, hey, listen, we do get to the park earlier. We make sure that we do our work, and we want to play the game right, and then we want to have fun too. So those are the type of things that you kind of want to make sure that you instill in them. I mean, even if they don't get drafted, but if they're going to teach it and do whatever they need to do, they're going to understand that this is how you play, and this is how you prepare, and this is how you get ready. I mean, no matter what level you're at, you always got to be prepared with a plan and have something in place, for success, a plan for success. So that's something I like about it. Also, you get to talk baseball. I love, for one thing, being out of the game for a couple of years. It's like I didn't have like somebody next to me that I could talk to about whatever it was, but so I always had to like go on on the internet and start something. But it's just one of those things I like doing, and I like to hear other people's perspective about it, and obviously with the way things are today, data and all that stuff that you want to want to make sure that if you're still up with all that stuff too. So,
Do you have any idea about what guys you might be managing, or
yeah, we don't they because I think they're still trying to put together rosters and all that stuff and they don't want to put it out yet either. And I can understand it is because, things are always changing, right? So it's hard to say, if it's April, we put out a roster, and next thing you know, by May, it's completely different. So you just don't want to do that too soon. But obviously they have players in mind, and they just kind of they're going through it. Hopefully we hear something. Hopefully it's still locked in. But until then, we don't have anything really.
Okay.
Yeah. Real quick, talk about this league. Just basically, you guys are independent. You're not even affiliated with anybody. So I guess you got scouts there every game now, right? You're going to be sitting there watching them for different organizations, and you can get a phone call say, "We want that guy to go to this place," right?
Yeah, it's basically we're considered amateur. The players are not getting paid, and basically we provide like all the the food and housing and all that stuff because they're not, and we want to make sure that they're obviously taken care of with that, that they're not paid for anything. But as far as the scouts and scouting directors, yeah, I mean we're going to have a lot of conversations with them because the players that we're getting are not, they're going to be guys who are probably going to be in the draft or have a fringy. It could be drafted. So you're going to hear them, they're going to call and say, "Hey, could you play this guy?" Or, "We're coming in. Could you play this guy? We'd like to take a look at him. Pitch this guy because, we want to see him in this situation. Can he start? Can he relieve?" Just things like that. And so we're going to be in constant communication with them because we want to make sure that they can see him. And on the other side of that is making sure that the players are able to kind of, show off what they have. We don't want to hinder what their their abilities. So we want to make sure that they are getting their innings when they pitch, basically, and then basically hitters are getting their bats and playing the field, and catchers are catching and all that stuff. So we want to make sure that those guys do that too. Get that too.
That's cool. Well, Derek, Coach May, thanks for coming on. Enjoy your day with your niece and nephews and all that stuff. Have fun.
Hey, I have one last question for you, real quick. Who's the hardest pitcher you faced?
All of them. I would say all of them. No, listen, I give guys credit for me, but I'm not. It's one of those things. It is tough. I mean, it's the hardest thing to do, but when you're playing against some of those guys, a lot of them are tough on any given day. Some guys I got the best of, they're pretty good too, but it's just one of those things. I think all of them are, you get to that level, all of them are pretty good.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thanks very much.
All right, Boyd, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. See you. Bye. All right, folks. So that's Coach Derek May, new manager for the Frederick Keys. They'll kick off in the middle of May. Well, I got to do a way back file here real quick, a throwback, because we got Anthony Nyer on real quick, but this is the first 7-10 split made back in 1980.
And hits the 10, but neither one of them happened that time. Roth is just going to go for one.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I was 2. You weren't even born.
I know. I wasn't even born, but sad news is Mark Roth is not doing so well. I heard he had another stroke and he's in the hospital. So, our best wishes go out to him and his family, and hopefully he could get himself, back to health, and, it'll be good for the game. Yeah. So anyway, let's bring in Anthony Nyer, who became a legend this week after making the 7-10 split on TV. I know you were in a losing match to Jacob Buckdrift, but walk us through that shot. The lanes are. Was it hooking differently, or what happened?
Yeah, so the lanes actually, as we bowl on them, obviously the oil we're bowling on moves because oil moves. So actually, they had started to just hook more for me, and by the time I made the right adjustments, Jacob had already had like 6 or 7 strikes. So Jacob had the match pretty well in hand by that point.
Yeah. So you throw the ball, you get to 7-10. What was it going through your mind? Did you say to yourself, it's an easy split, I can make it," or did you just say, "I just needed one pin to keep the count going"?
Yeah, that was more my thought process. I was like, just make sure you get one because you never know. I mean, bowling, a lot of stuff's happened before, so you never truly know. But I just wanted to get one, and the weird part was normally if I was ever going to try and make that, I would have shot the 7 pin instead of the 10 pin. I don't know what went through my head to shoot the 10 pin, but I ended up shooting the 10 pin. So
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. That's all I can say.
And Rob Stone going nuts. Did you hear the audio afterwards? He was like going bonkers. Yeah, it's like, wow, Rob, calm down. Easy. Yeah.
No, but
I loved how he even threw in a commercial there.
What?
Yeah.
He even threw in a commercial while he was also celebrating.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, but so we they're in the back in an announcing booth, and we can't really hear them, but we could hear every word he was saying during that moment.
That's cool.
Awesome. That's cool.
Is that the first time you've ever hit that?
That was the first one I ever hit. Besides, I was just messing around with my friends. I've hit one, but that was the first one I've ever actually tried to hit.
I can't say I've done it.
Yeah.
I did it once, Anthony. I did it once. It was on League Play. I was talking to Dave Ryan earlier in the show, and I did the Dan Mazda way. I hit but I did it from the right side because I'm a right-hander. So I hit the 10 pin and it rolled over and hit the 7, or something like that. And people were like, yeah, and they're like, and it was League Play, and they're all looking at me like, "Oh, you hit the machine." No, I didn't. I hit it. And to this day, I can't even do it again because everybody's been asking me every time I go bowling, like, "Can you do it?" No.
It's not something you can just do.
Yeah. It's like pitching a no-hitter. You pitch one time and that's it. You can't pitch a no-hitter all the time.
You can't just go out there and pitch a no-hitter. It's kind of like that.
Exactly.
So how cool is it to know that you'll be forever linked to this in history?
It's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I didn't realize it right away. I knew it was a big thing, but I didn't realize it was gonna But the more I thought of it, my name's gonna stick around every time somebody 7-10s now and everything on TV. So
yeah, they're gonna show your video of you hitting it, and it's gonna be on for 15 years down the road. You're like, "Oh, the last guy made it was Anthony Nyer," and I'm like, "Okay," And we'd be like, "Oh, we remember." I was like, "I don't remember." "Oh, I remember that was it was on whatever on Fox." But anyway, your father was a very famous bowler because I grew up watching bowling on TV during the 80s and 90s. So what did he teach you growing up? Because I think your dad was left-handed or right-handed. Or you guys?
He was left-handed.
Okay. So what did he teach you?
Mostly, he just taught me the mental side of it, how to just control yourself when you're out there against those guys for the first time. Because it's a different world out there when you're bowling. You used to hear bowling at home, and you go out with those guys, and it's a whole different thing. So, pretty much, he just taught me how to keep my head, how to have the right mindset.
Who gave you the name Ginger Assassin?
Rob Stone. That was the first time it had ever come around. We've never heard of it before then.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's all Rob Stone.
I was trying to get Rob Stone on this morning, but he was busy with what's going on because I wanted to ask him. He comes up with weird, nicknames for people. Even Randy Pearson comes up. We used to call Bill O'Neill the real deal Bill O'Neill, and I know Bill O'Neill doesn't like that anymore because I asked him that, and he goes, "Please don't say that. I don't like that."
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, but no, Rob Stone. He just came up with it, and it just stuck.
Nice.
That's true.
Because I know that was one of the big things with it on social media. That was part of it all.
Yeah, that's true. So you're only 18 years old. So are you going to go off to college, or what's the plan for you now after?
I don't know. Right now, I don't play. I'm not gonna bowl in college because I'm gonna bowl professionally, but I might. I'm considering going to. I'm near Penn State, so I'll probably go to one of their branch schools, and I'll end up doing an education there while I bowl.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Hopefully we'll see you around here. You're going to do some regionals. Want to get back up and running?
Yeah. I actually have a regional this weekend, the first one, and then I think we have a couple weeks off, and then we start going pretty much every weekend with either regional or national doorstop.
Yeah. Is it the one in Towson this weekend?
Yeah, the one's in Towson.
Yeah, I was trying to get Russ Mills to send somebody. I'm glad I found somebody because I was going to, hey, let's talk about it. Get somebody to, self-promoting there. So I guess it's not going to be all. Everybody else is on the national tour, but you're going to be there, and it's going to be. How's it like bowling? You're going down to a lane you haven't seen before. What do you do?
Yeah.
Do you get there early and try to figure it out?
We're given a practice session the night before, but that's more for just getting used to the center. So I'll probably just go to that and then use the hour they give us just to get used to the center a little bit.
That's true. That's cool. Awesome. So it's this weekend at Towson Lanes, right off of Providence Road, April 16th through the 18th. So is it open for people to come, or is it closed doors? Because I don't know about this COVID thing.
I am not sure on the regional stuff. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how the regionals work. I know there's some guests allowed, but I don't know how many. I know on the national tour we're not allowed any guests because it's people coming from everywhere. But the regional, the way they look at it is it's people from that region, so everybody's closer to home.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations on making a split.
Thank you.
Hopefully it wasn't. Hopefully it was. Next time will be a win if you do that again.
Hopefully it's a win next time.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on. Have a great day.
Thank you guys. You too.
Thanks.
All
right. Bye.
So yes, folks, let me write that down for you. Towson Lanes this weekend.
When did you learn how to write?
Huh?
I said, when did you learn how to write?
I went to school. And plus, I don't have to write a whole sentence. I can just write a couple words. It's not bad. Education, Harvard Community College.
Nice.
Well, we're going to wrap the show up because I got to get going here. We have stuff to do this afternoon here. So thanks for coming on, Will. Thanks for helping me out.
No problem. Sorry the link didn't work in the beginning.
It happens. Even Coach Richardson had a problem. Sometimes it's StreamYard. I can't do anything about it. It's just, I guess it has to link up or something. I don't know. So that's why I tell people to come on a little bit earlier to make sure it works. Yeah. So anyway, we're doing a show next Wednesday morning again at 10 a.m. because it works well at 10 a.m. because we had a lot of people on this morning. Thanks for Dave Ryan for stopping by. We had a great conversation with him, and Derek May stopping by as well. And in the morning, first guest you missed, Will, I talked to Nick Pantos, the guy from Old Dominion. Yeah, very good. I asked him about his, he's 3-0 this year, and his ERA is a little bit down from last year. I know he only had 4 starts last year because of COVID, but I asked him what is he doing differently, and he's like he's attacking the hitters better. So that's good. Yeah, and all that stuff. So we'll join you guys next Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. 10 to 11:30. Or if we have a special guest, we'll be on until noon. But anyway, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Peace.